intercourse with him. They could have had a normal sex life, but that probably doesn't turn him on. It probably doesn't get his juices pumping and flowing. He probably gets turned on from being a thief, from having control over a person, from not being able to be rejected, taking away a person's choice, having a person catatonic. Like he was really rubbing up on that girl on the dance floor, just really enjoying her limpness. There are people who are necrophiliacs who enjoy intercourse. If you get lost on some of these porn sites, you'll start seeing a whole bunch of stuff that you wish that you never had. People who have fetishes and fantasies about strangling a person and their eyes are open while they're humping on top of the person and the person can't move. It's like there's a lot of psychological stuff going on. We talked about this in another video. What arouses you is all psychological. You're psychologically trying to work things out. We don't know whether or not this person had come into contact with dead bodies, or whether or not the story Sleeping Beauty, or something happened along the way. And so he gets off on being a thief, robbing a person of their choice. He gets, and I can say allegedly, all of this is alleged, but people who have this fetish, this fantasy, like Bill Cosby. For those of you who know the basketball player who was dumb handsome, who brought two girls back to his place, drugged one of them, and the other one walked in on him, or maybe he drugged both of them, I don't remember, but he got arrested for that. But he was like, I'm too handsome. Look at all this money I got. I don't need to do this. But the DNA evidence showed something different. And so like this guy, he wears condoms. So if there's no DNA evidence, like this guy is covering his tracks. He's not stupid. There's some people who want to get caught. Apparently he doesn't want to get caught, but he likes engaging in this whole catatonic fetish. I mean, they have, if you look, and there are people out there with, if you look at the porn sites, there are people who enjoy having intercourse with people who are sleeping because there's no rejection. So like one of the things that we have to remember is that when it comes to women and it comes to men, there are different types of fantasies that we have where ultimately we don't want to be rejected. So for men, like if you look at the types of coaching that men receive, the dating and relationship coaching that men receive, it's all about how to get around circumventing the rejection. One of the ways to circumvent getting the rejection is to pretend to be somebody else, pretend to have more money, get a person plied with drinks so that they can't say no, loosen them up. And for women, the romance novels that they read, again, on the flip side of it, circumventing rejection, so that you come into contact with a man who's just so overwhelmed with your beauty and there's no rejection there because he just wants you so much. And somebody mentioned this in one of my comments. In a lot of these fantasies, in romance novels, on TV shows, in movies, there's this rape fetish element to it, which is quiet as kept, kind of spoken under the radar, where a person will where man boy meets girl, girl doesn't want boy, but the boy, he just wants her so much, he just pushes her up against the wall and he just starts kissing her. And you hear how Donald Trump, even him, it's like, we don't give these things a name. If somebody says, oh, you're a rapist, you're a sexual assaulter, they're like, no. But if you describe the action, that's a whole other story. So like Donald Trump probably didn't even know that that's considered sexual assault. So it's glorified and glamorized. How many of us women just think about our beauty just being so intoxicating that he just wants us so much he can't control him? And so, and I definitely believe that there are a lot of these things that are embedded in our genetic code, because for many of our ancestors, this was our mating strategy. There wasn't all that romance and all that other stuff. There was a whole different ball game back then. So I believe a lot of this stuff is passed down. But with this guy, you know, he came into the messages talking about business and all this stuff that she wanted to hear, power couple and all of this. He just bought a home, his son, he has custody of his son. Then he was talking about the woman. And remember, I told you got to listen. When people are talking about their exes, listen. When people are talking about themselves, because remember, a racist not going to call themselves a racist, a rapist not going to call themselves a rapist, an abuser not going to call themselves an abuser. But if you listen and you decipher and you do the arbitrals, you'll be able to read between the lines. So here he is talking about this person who this, that, and the other, mentioning how she this, and so if you listen, you'll be able to piece two and two together for yourself. So one of the things that I was saying in the beginning of the video is, I made that video earlier today, how I was done with talking about Jasmine Eiland, and it dawned on me how important it is to have a person with a squeaky clean reputation come forward in the movement. So like there were other people who came forward, who stood up on the bus or who sat down and didn't want to stand up before Rosa Parks. They talk about this in documentaries. However, Rosa Parks was used because she's light complexioned. She was a devout Christian. I believe she was married. She'd been working for so long. She was of a certain age, right? So it's like when it comes to your oppressor doesn't really see you as fully human. That's part of the reason that you're being oppressed. So for far too many of us, we're looking to men to be like, to vindicate us and to uphold us. But there's a hierarchy in society. And yes, women are objectified. And for far too many men, they don't see you as a human being. Like this woman is being attacked. Like personally, I believe her story. She seems very credible to me. So what are we going to say in this situation where we have a woman who has her own business, has her own money? She's well spoken. She's not looking for clout. She got her head and everything. She's all covered up. And that's another thing that's such a shame. That she went from, I'm not going to put up her beautiful pictures. There's another vlogger. You can see her picture there. But I want to maintain this woman's anonymity. She didn't really want to come forward. But she went from being showing all that pretty shoulders and arms and just and showing the beautiful shape of the flower, the curve. And she went to now wearing baggy hoodies and all of this. And so you know what it's like? It's in men's vested interest to stand up. If you want women to be beautiful and to feel free, like there was a man who wrote to me on Facebook. Well, there have been many, many men who have been writing to me on Facebook. But like, it's like some of the men are actually trying to get with me. And I'm like, I ain't gonna be a victim out here. And I'm turned off. I'm just completely turned off. And so it's like, men, when you don't stand up to women who are in distress and in need, it actually messes up the game for a bunch of people. Like now we got women who don't feel comfortable being free and going out. We got women turning down dates, don't want to go out and all this other stuff. It messes up everything for everybody. And so I made that video earlier today where I was like, I'm done talking about Jasmine Eiland. I'm done because there's so many ups and downs and canals and caverns in that situation that it's a lot going back and forth through it. And her aligning herself with that husband who seems really toxic and seems to be in this for his clout. It's like Jasmine Eiland is going to have to do the things that she needs to do to love herself enough to be able to give people the opportunity to be able to advocate for her full force. Because the way things are right now, she's actually sabotaging herself. She's going to have the strength to be able to stand up and do what she needs to do to protect and not just protect herself, but to do the things necessary to be able to help people protect her as well, to stand up for her. Because we're on the outside, we don't know. It's like, I don't have to go hard for Jasmine Eiland. I can go hard against rape. And listen, let me say this for the record. Listen. Because like I said, there are a lot of people with penises who were writing to me after I did that video, and they think that they have an ally in me. No, sir. No, sir. If there is any male person out there who saw that video of Jasmine catatonic on the dance floor, despondent, flopping around as that man spit on his hand and put it up under her frock, if there's any person, male or female, who saw that and still believes that Jasmine Eiland was not assaulted, you do not have an ally in me. And any man, I'm not attracted to you. I'm not. Any man who saw that footage and thinks that that's okay, Like these penis toters who are coming out talking about, I need to apologize to men. You aligning yourself with Dominique Williams. You're aligning yourself with a male person who felt that it was okay to suck on the neck and fondle the breast of a person who was despondent on the dance floor. You're aligning yourself and having him be the spokesperson for men. No, sir. No, sir. I want you all to go look up, because I say this, I've said this about 3 times in my videos. I want you to go look up Christophine. It's a fruit from the Caribbean. I want you to go look up the bottom of it. Look at the way that it looks. And so men, please know that if you are okay with Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, this man Dominique Williams, Dominique the Creep, if you're okay with him, just know that my vagina is inverting on itself like the bottom of a Christophine for you. I can never feel anything for you. Don't contact me with your nonsense. You have no ally in me. I do not want you. I will not feel safe around you. If you think that that's okay for her, what do you think is, what am I supposed to think you think is all right for me? And so it's like, we've gotten to the point now where women, gosh, we don't have people who are vociferously, like the typical male that I see commenting on the video who's upset by what happened to Jasmine. He'll be like, you know what, that's messed up. If I saw him, I would beat him up, blah, blah, blah. But I don't see them checking other men who are in the comments talking about she deserved it, that bitch, this whole thought life and all this other stuff. But they don't go hard on being the safekeepers, the vanguards of the neighborhood, of the comments. I don't know if it's just male nature, but I'm saying this is what we women need to feel safe. I personally, I feel uneasy right now. And so I understand why they put a person like Rosa Parks in front of the movement, because people who don't see you as human, they're going to be poking, just like how Caucasians, when the media comes up and they're poking, when a black person, oh, but he smoked marijuana once. He smoked it. Therefore, he got shot down. He was a problem person. They're going to be poking holes, poking. So you got to get a person in front of the movement who is squeaky clean. And I understand that now. I understand, because it can make everything could just crumble and fall apart the moment that these people who have a vested interest in not respecting your humanness anyway, when they start poking holes and trying to find ways for why you deserved it. So ladies, listen. You know, I was going to say we got to come together, but listen, we got far too many. I've seen far too many women in my comments also attacking rape victims. And there's a certain cognitive dissonance that exists there where I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But then, you know, it's like, just like how after I made that video and there were some foolish people who never really watched the video, foolish people with penises who then decided that, oh, she's allied, let me type to her. Oh, and I just can only imagine that these women that are hoping to be picked, that they get these bum men in their inboxes. Ladies, what are you really attracting? I'm going to say this and then I'm going to say 2 different things. I'm going to get out of the video. What are you really attracting? You're attracting rapists, people who don't want to protect and provide, bums, all this, that, by aligning yourself with this pick me movement. And then on the flip side, men, listen, you need to really open up your eyes and pay attention. Like, a woman like me is not going to be interested in a man who's a rape apologist. So if you really truly look around, if you look around at who are the women who are so desperately like, pick me, are these the women that you would want to choose? Apparently, maybe not, because they ain't been picked yet. I feel like there's so many things that I've left out of this video, but we've been talking now for 45 minutes and I'm going to get out of here so that I can upload this. But we have to get it together. We have to get it together. You know, it's like a change is coming. Jasmine Eiland may not realize this right now. And listen, I don't care I don't care if she was in porn. I don't care if she sold it on the street. I don't care. No still means no. It's like people love porn, but then hate the women who do porn. You love to lust and bust looking at them, but then are angry that they participated in something that you love to look at so much. And you know what? And I see this far too often in the Black community, because other races of porn stars, white especially, because we know white women who have crossed over from porn, in Jana Jemison, for example. And I was just looking at this young lady, I don't even want to say her name, but who's crossed over. She's directing now, making money, she's married, she this, she that, and still exalted. Wipe off, and she's brand new. Wash, shake the lint out her hair, and she's born anew, sterilized, baptized in the whiteness. And then when it comes to Black women, you have to be pristine, crystal clean, squeaky, and have never done anything outside of the scrutiny of others. Otherwise, they're going to just look for ways that you deserved it. And like I said, we're living a real life human doll test, where just by merely being in a Black body, you're guilty. And so, ladies, listen, we have got to choose better. We don't make the world better by aligning with men who support bad behavior. Let's make the world better by calling these men to task. You want to be a leader, head of household, alpha male, and all this and that? Well, then show us what an alpha male does. You know, people talk all this and that, all about how Tonya hates men. Is there anybody here of any real intelligence that feels that I hate men? Is there anybody here of real intelligence who feels that I hate men? But it's like when I speak out against build-a-bums, rapists, sexual assaulters, and men who decide not to protect and provide, then all of a sudden I hate men. No, I do not approve of behavior that is destructive for our community. I'm a self-love specialist. And I instruct women into loving themselves by avoiding certain types of men. This is why I'm confused by why there are people with penises who are writing to me thinking, and if you could hear the verbiage and see the poor spelling of some of these bums coming into my inbox now thinking that they have an ally in me. No, baby. I love myself far too much. Just know that every stroke of your keyboard that you're typing to me, that my vagina inverts even more like the bottom of a Christophine. I'm not down for you. I'm not down for that. I love myself and I deserve and demand the best. They always want you to have standards. But then when you enact your standards, then they're like, I can't. Look, you gotta lower your standards for me. No. So listen, on that note, I hope I talk good and long enough for you to be able to hear my point of view. I want to hear what you all have to say. I'm sure there are going to be people who are going to hear her testimony and be like, she's lying and all this, that, and the other too. There are far too many people out there who hate women, both male and female. You can see it in the way that they're treated in society. You can see by the way that it's depicted in pornographic material. You can see by the way the society is run. Far too many of us out here hate women. We just despise them. And the closer you are to Black, the more the despising exists. The darker you are. There's like a spectrum. And so I want to see what people are going to say about this woman. Educated. What can you say about her? How will you try to tear her apart? And so this is what I'm saying. We really, truly, 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 truly have to take a deep, hard look at ourselves. And the contempt that we have. What is the point in coming out and going to the police if there's no semen? If it happened when you were sleeping and you don't have recollection of it? What's the point? They're going to question him and then that'll be it. I guess the point will be to have a police report on the record so that enough police reports pile up. I'm going to say this and then we're going to be done, right? 60 women came forward and called Bill Cosby a rapist, and we did not believe them. Well, I don't want to say we, but there were many people who didn't believe them. But if 6 men came out and said that a woman was a hoe, we wouldn't question them. Even though there's no proof or evidence of either. So for me, 2 women have come forward. I've seen the video footage. Eyes don't lie. I saw him spit on his hand and shove it up under her frock. We saw that. Whether she was playing some game and she found a rapist who was willing to take her up on creating this public display, who knows? But it was on him to refrain, and he did not. He participated in sexual assault. And if there's anybody here who is unsure about whether or not he sexually assaulted her, listen, Christophine, I don't have nothing for you. Just nothing for you. I have nothing for you. Nothing. On that note, I think I've said everything that I needed to say. And so listen, I love you all very, very much. Go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. And loving yourself is extending that same compassion for other people. Because goodness knows, you know what? I wonder how many women are sitting back seeing this woman and thinking, you know what? That could have been me. How many people are seeing their daughters and realizing that could have been my daughter? And realizing that if that happened to your daughter, no one would advocate for her, or many people would not, and many people would attack her. I wonder how many people are waking up to the realization about what our imposed or supposed worth is in this society. So love yourself enough to extend that love to other people, that love, understanding, forgiveness. So like even with Jasmine Eiland, I may not be focusing on her videos anymore, but I do not forgive, I do not excuse, and I do not condone Dominique the Creep Williams. I do not. What I saw was enough. Listen, I'm done. I don't need. I would love for more people to come forward and let's get this man taken down. But because he didn't get like this overnight, he got his whole script down packed. Ladies, it's a scary place out there. Anyway, on that note, I'll see you all in the next video. I'm going to jump into the comments because I want to have conversations with you all. I know that there are going to be people who did not watch the whole video who are going to be talking junk, and that's okay. Far too many of us are waiting for our assailants to have this come to Jesus moment where they finally admit that they're assailants. It doesn't work like that. You're going to have to find your healing inside of you. Know what it is that you know and find your healing inside of you. Stop waiting for racists to say that they're racist. They did a study where they asked people whether or not they were racist, and everyone was like, no, no, no. But then when they described certain activities, have you ever XYZ? There were people who said that they were not racist, who admitted to participating in XYZ, which were racist ideals. Same thing with rape. Have you ever raped a woman? No, this was another study. No, no, no. Have you ever had intercourse with a person, or have you ever penetrated a person who was not in a position to be able to say yes, or who was not coherent, or was this, that, and the other? Have you ever, like coercion is also sexual assault, like begging and pleading your way into someone's body until they're like, God, I can't, I'm not going to be able to get any peace, any rest or anything. So just fine, go ahead. People who are like, I'm not going to be able to get a ride back home. I'm far from home. I don't know how I'm going to get back to, so then they just like, oh, go ahead. There's so many instances. This is what I'm saying. We're sitting here waiting for people to be like, yes, I've raped, or yes, I was raped. There's so many people who are watching this footage right now who felt uneasy about an interaction that they had, who still don't know that they were sexually assaulted. But they just chalk it up to, oh, he was just really aggressive. No, you were sexually assaulted. A person who does not, like when I was displaced, there was a guy who wanted me to move in with him. This is what I'm saying. I did not have to live in my car for a year. There was a guy who wanted me to move in with him when I was displaced. And I was like, listen, if I don't have the ability to say no, then I don't have the ability to say yes. Because in order for a person to be able to have free will, they have to be able to say no without consequences. But if you know that if there are consequences to your no, if there are consequences to not saying yes, do you really have a choice? Just like I hate that word bedwench. I've stopped interacting with a person who was a good associate of mine because he came to my page calling Black women bedwenches and all this other stuff, when that term is rooted in the rape of Black women who could not consent because they did not have the ability to not consent. Do you hear what I'm saying? If not saying no is not equivalent to saying yes. If a person just lays there and allows you to just do whatever to them, doesn't mean that you got a yes. It doesn't mean that you got consent. Not saying no. The absence of a no is not a yes. And there's so many men who are just looking for the absence of the no. Oh, well, she didn't say no. She didn't say no. Maybe because she couldn't. She didn't feel comfortable. She wasn't able to. She felt that something bad would happen to her. She couldn't get home. She thought that maybe you would hurt her. You had already started. You were stronger than her. And she just gave way from strength, from the strength of you holding her down and being like, please, please, let me just get in. Let me just get in. Please, please. From the strength, she just lost the damn ability, just like arm wrestling. When your arm just gives out, you're trying to stop a person who is maybe 50 to 100 pounds heavier than you, trying to stop them from being able to maneuver on top of you. And then you just give way from strength. That's your mating strategy, men? And so this is the thing. It's like we don't see women as full, complete human beings. We still see women as conquests, notches on belts, something to be had, something to be gained. There's so many people who use the example, well, would you leave your purse sitting on a car with the door open? Mother effer, women are not purses. We are human beings. People are like, would you leave the doors to the bank open if you had? No, a woman is not a bank. We're not inanimate objects. We are human beings. And to answer the question, the person who robs is still wrong. Even if the door is open, you're still wrong. You're a thief. Listen, everyone, breathe in deep. And exhale. It is going to be okay. It's tough, but we have to keep having these conversations. We must keep having these conversations. It's difficult. However, we have got to make this world safe for all people. We got people trafficking children, boys and girls. Because the puritanical, like people rebelling against the puritanical, the unnatural puritanical way of guilting people for having sexual feelings has turned so many people deviant. We have all of these traffickers and we have these child sex trades. But we have people who are, there's supply and demand, there's a market for it. And that's the part that's heartbreaking. Whew, you know what? Let me hug you all and then I'm going to get out of this video. Hug me.